Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Emerging Champions. Today, we are with Mr. Botlhale Modisaotsile. He is doing his BA Honours in Economics. He is the incoming president of the SRC, of the Rhodes University SRC. He has a variety of leadership skills and experience. This experience can be seen from his days as deputy head boy at Bottlhale High in 2016 to chief adjudicator at the Rhodes University Debating Society from 2017 to 2020. He is also a member of the Student Parliament and Deputy Speaker of the Student Parliament Executive. He was also Vice Chairperson of the Rhodes Chess Club in 2019. He has contributed to the local Makanda community as community engagement rep and environmental rep for Bottlhale and Bapedi Rhodes Society and Chess Club for 2021. He is into chess and was a chess instructor. He was also awarded Best South African Under-20 Chess Player in 2017 at the SA Chess World Cup. He is also an aspiring artist. But before we talk about his leadership and his upcoming role, we're going to talk about his music. First, welcome, Mr. Modisaotsile.
Zwiko, thank you for having me.
Okay. So who's Botlhale? What would you tell them if someone asks you, who's Mr. Modisaotsile?
Well, first and foremost, greetings to those that are watching. Continue to support emerging champions. This is where the leaders are. This is where the champions are. Let me get straight into business. Botlhale is an individual born and bred in Kempton Park, Gauteng. I'm someone who lives by the quote, how you do anything is how you do everything. Botlhale is someone who's, sweet, courageous, but I'm also strong-hearted. I'm a leader at heart. I'm a team player, someone who likes to get things going. As you've stated, I've been a chief adjudicator of the Rhodes Debating Society in 2017. That was like my first year. So, early first year, I'm already into a leadership position, and at that time I was like the fifth best adjudicator in the Eastern Cape, and I just came in at Rhodes. So, I'm someone who's a people person, but I'm an ambivert, sometimes if I'm outgoing, you'll see the outgoing element. But then if I'm just in my room doing my own thing, that's me. I'm someone who plays chess. I'm actually a chess manager at Johannesburg Metro. And I'm a musician. I'm a rapper, beat maker, sound engineer, I'm just someone who really believes in just going all out with talents. I always want to see someone win. As a person who's who chases success, I see the beauty of people being successful. If you tell me about somebody winning a prize or an award, I just get happy because we all have to win. I'm a person who likes seeing success all around. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. You mentioned something important about being someone who goes all out. And I think this might resonate to your leadership in the SRC, because I think that's what the Rhodes SRC needs as well, someone who keeps going all out. That's important. So do you have an inspiration? What inspires and motivates you?
Well, I would just say that from a person perspective, my mother is my inspiration. She's really been very supportive, I've just been someone who's really been chasing passion, chasing everything that I do. So I found inspiration in my family. I found inspiration in, the people around me. I'm surrounded by winners, So just people, leaders, people like you as well. When I'm surrounded by people, I know that, okay, something great will be done today. Something productive, something outstanding will be done. So it's all about, the people that you surround yourself with. That's very important.
Thank you. That's the reason why we also started this channel of Emerging Champions. I think it's more or less about appreciating one another and recognizing, leadership and emerging champions. You mentioned aspiring artist. Is the dream still alive? How is it going?
Well, yeah, the dream is very much alive. So my stage name is Impera Rapper. I'm a rapper / singer / beat maker. So the passion is still alive. I think people need to understand that, there's Botlhale, the person, and then Botlhale, the leader. So, it's going to be hard to make that type of distinction, especially being in SRC. It's not easy, but you need to be aware that you are a selfless leader. You're serving the student body, but at the same time, you need to realize that you are still a person. You still have a social life. You still have emotions to cater to. Even in leadership, you need to be aware of your emotions. So the dream is very much alive. I'm actually releasing a video soon, a lyric video, not a music video, but a lyric, like a visualizer. So yeah, music will still come. Yeah, the dream is much alive. I've been inspired by music for as long as I can remember. Ever since the age of 5, I was just someone who, listened to hip hop, and I was like, okay, I can do something like this. And since then, I've been chasing it. I'm still growing and being creative with, the sound that I'm making. So yeah, I'm super keen. And for those that are keen to subscribe to my channel, I will leave my link, or the link will be left by, the administration of this channel. Yeah, and then you can subscribe. Yeah. That's all I can say.
The name of the channel is below. Link is below as well. Support one of our own, an emerging champion.
Thank you.
Are there any challenges you face in this journey? What do you think an upcoming or emerging artist needs to take it to the next level?
All right. I'll have to look at, what the vision, you'll have to look at what the vision of that emerging artist is and what exactly they're doing right now. I mean, look at me. I'm doing economics honors. You get what I'm saying? Next year I could be doing my master's. You get what I'm saying? So that's not related to music in any way. Economics, you're talking about the Reserve Bank. You're talking about investments. You're talking about different things. You're talking about the income inequality, wealth inequality being greater than income inequality in South Africa specifically. And then, there's the music, so I'm just someone who believes in being multi-talented, not just relying on one thing. So being an emerging artist, you need to have your resources. You need to have a clear-cut vision of where you genuinely want to go with the music. I'm currently on major platforms. So my aim right now is just looking at how I can generate money from, the music services that I have, So it's all about knowing where you want to go. Yeah, that's all I can say at the moment in terms of like where the artist wants to go. Yeah.
You mentioned something about economics, talking about how to save money. Hip hop artists, they mostly talk about spending money, going all out. So what's the message in your music?
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you asked that question. For those that do not know, I actually don't drink and I don't smoke. I'm straight edge. Yeah, and coming from Rhodes University, it's not often that you hear about someone who doesn't drink. I'm not even going to go to smoking, but who doesn't drink. So, it's perfectly fine to be who you are, remain true to yourself. But, to those that drink alcohol, that's you. Do what you love. Do what makes you happy. I'm a person who really is accepting of my surroundings. So, as someone who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, it's not what you would see in the usual rapper, but I'm someone who brings up a different personality, someone who's labeled as the straight edge rapper. So that's the alter ego that I portray as a rapper. So it's important to establish an identity. That's what makes you different from being from other artists. I mean, even in my music, I don't just rap in English, because you often find that, especially rappers in SA, they want to rap in English so that they can be accepted instead of rapping in their home language. I rap in Setswana, which is my home language. I rap in Afrikaans, which is something that I'm not too fluent in, but I can speak it properly and understand it. I can even write essays in Afrikaans. So it just tells you you need to be diverse in your sound. You need to be authentic. And yeah, if you rap in English and you're authentic, just bring out the right message as well. Don't rap because someone else is rapping in English. What is it that you're doing differently? What makes people see you as oh, actually this rapper is quite good because he does things differently. You get what I'm saying? Even as a straight edge rapper, I don't drink, I don't smoke. But then, I can talk about saving and or spending money, based on the story. I can talk about heartbreak. I write what I feel, so that's just what it is.
Okay. Yeah. This is amazing because, you talk about diversity. You're an emerging artist. Right now, you're going to be an emerging leader. We are now coming into the leadership aspect of this, of your life, of your journey as an emerging champion. What made you decide to run for SRC?
So yeah, that's a really interesting question. I decided to run for SRC, the presidential portfolio specifically because, as a team player, I've literally seen quite a number of different leadership positions, so as you've stated, community engagement, environmental rep of the house. Last year, I was the community engagement rep of Rhodes Chess and Rhodes. So I have that overview in community engagement. I was also a 9/10 mentor. And then I'm in sports leadership right now. I'm a student sports council exec member. I'm in student parliament as deputy speaker. I was the vice president of Rhodes Chess Club. I was also the community engagement rep of Chess Club that following year, so 2019, 2020, and internal director of the Rhodes Debating Society, not just chief adjudicator. So I've managed to see different platforms of leadership, and also I've experienced things as a student. You know, I almost didn't come back to Rhodes. You know, I was almost excluded, but you know, funds were available for me to register. I actually had to resign from being sub warden to come back here and ensure that I don't owe a lot of money to the school. You know, that's my authentic truth, and that's how I'm saying it. I'm a straight talker when it comes to these things as well. So, you know, lots of sacrifices have had to be made, but you know, I feel like me running for president, I'm just someone who believes in optimal performance, and I'm also someone who comes for understanding. You know, just because I'm the incoming president doesn't mean I know everything. I really want to learn and share my experiences as well as a leader. So that's just what I have on offer.
You know, brilliant. You know, you talk about authenticity.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to come to that, especially when it comes to funds, you know, and the issues that are faced by students, especially at Rhodes, be it international students, be it South African students. But before we move on to that, around leadership, you know, the Rhodes SRC has often been described as a popularity contest for cool kids. You know, that is, you know, a discourse that is all over the university campus. You know, do you fit that narrative? And if not, you know, what makes you different and what is spectacular about you?
Okay, just before I go there, it is important. I was actually having a conversation with Ukakampo, who was the SRC vice president. You know, was just giving me advice. And I think something along the lines, he said that, vice president in 2019 of SRC, I think he said something like the student body, there's never been a SRC that the student body liked. So we really need to be aware of that. And in terms of, you know, SRC being viewed as a popularity contest, I could have fit that narrative on the sole premise of me making music. But I decided to not go that route. I just decided to appeal to the people as a person, you know, even with my campaigning team. You know, they've been great and I would like to thank them. Had it not been for them, I wouldn't have been here. You know, we made memes, we made videos. We really just took the traditional online approach in terms of how we won the campaign. Like we won with 1,507 votes. So yeah, it's just me being authentic, saying that, you know, I could have easily put a song in the background, vote for Bothlale, no, but I just decided to do my own thing. We even made Iguijo, you know, for the presidential campaign, and, you know, people were going with it. They looked at the memes, they saw the manifesto, even in the presidential debate. I didn't even look at my manifesto. I went all out to explain what my intentions were. So it's all about you just really stepping up and being able to work under pressure, but also understanding that, you know, SRC doesn't have all the answers. That's where the student representation comes in, because we have student apathy right now. How do we go about tackling that? That's a conversation that the SRC will have to have, you know, and the SRC is an organization according to the Higher Education Act that cannot leave the institution in any university in the country. And SRC is an integral part of leadership, the highest level of student governance. So, you know, the students really need to see support. And in terms of having to be critical or just say that there's something they're not doing, it's the attitude that comes with it. You can't just bash someone and expect the SRC to just move to the tune because you voted them in. Yes, you voted them in, but you need to be critical in how you give your criticism. Constructive criticism is a thing. So you need to ensure that what you are saying or what you are asking for, you hold that person accountable. Like, Mr. President, this is what you're not doing. This is what I would suggest. So people need to be bringing through suggestions like, guys, this is what you can do better. Look at the institutional development plan. Look at the constitution of student governance. Look at the institutional transformation plan. You know, even in my manifesto, I mentioned student liberties. Students really need to know how to go about engaging with the SRC, but doing so in a constructive fashion. So that when other universities look at Rhodes, they're like, oh, actually, there's an interactive relationship between the student body and the SRC and student parliament, you know? So there needs to be that awareness as well. So it is important that the incoming SRC, which I'm part of, really pulls through with that. And I'm confident that they will do so.
All right. Thank you so much for that outline. You know, you talk about your campaign team. You know, what type of people did you have in your campaign team and what were you looking for, especially in your campaign team?
Well, what I was looking for, well, first of all, most of them are, people I have on my contact list. And then other people who knew, Botlhale's running for president, they just decided to join via the group link. So, I posted the WhatsApp group link on Facebook as well, WhatsApp contacts, they shared it like, Botlhale's running for president. So, quite a number of people joined the campaign group. And I just told them, we are running a healthy and clean race. You're not bashing anyone's names because we don't do that, healthy competition all around. In the same fashion that you had healthy competition in campaigns, it is important to have healthy conversations around student governance, especially if we're going to combat apathy. So in my campaign team, I had, diverse characters, people who were keen, that didn't know me that well, but they said, out of the people that we viewed, we feel that you are of best fit, but they came with those intentions, like, we respect the competition. I just feel that you are my leader, and and also like in terms of constructing the campaign, I sent my manifesto to the group. They're like, no, Bothlale, change this. This is a very complicated word. A lot of people don't understand it. Talk about this, do this. So it's just that thing of, it speaks to that relationship that one should have with their SRC as well, not just sit out of nowhere. I mean, even with the votes, we just reached quorum. How can we increase voter participation and not just reach quorum? Because had we not reached quorum, I wouldn't be here. We'd just be talking about my music and not me being a president-elect, because we have to reach quorum in order to see that we have a legitimate student representative council.
So how is it, campaigning in the COVID-19 context, campaigning online? Is it difficult? How do you get to the people? Because, it's probably different to like campaigning on campus. So how is that? How is it like campaigning online during this COVID-19 context?
Yeah, it's really different. Like, even before I get to like that campaigning part, like last year I was in House Com for the very first time, community engagement rep and environmental rep for Puerta House. And, I was focused on, building a relationship with Puerta House at the time being fresh, renovations, refurbished, looking all nice. Everyone is talking about it. We even were thinking of having like a young housewarming party and everything. And then when COVID struck, we were just heartbroken. But, we adjusted. And even as community engagement rep and environmental rep, I still, played my part in terms of leadership. I was working with 9/10. There was a cleanup at the spring, which I participated in. So, looking at the COVID-19 campaigning, it's not my first time running for SRC. I ran for academic council. I finished second. And, I ran late, but I didn't lose by far. But I really I took notes like, okay, this is what we didn't do because we were still adjusting to the COVID-19 context. So it's all about, bringing diverse content, coming through the videos. The memes need to be different, have videos where people are backing you up like, no, we know Botlhale is this type of person and this is why he's on run for president. And then in the Grazzle, you have a chance to, back yourself. People must see that, okay, if we throw questions at him, we know that he will react accordingly, and also this goes back to what you mentioned with regards to the SRC, running for SRC being viewed as a popularity contest. When I won, people recognized that I won, while before I even said my speech, they recognized that I won, but they were making side jokes like, the rapper is now president, or like when we voice our opinions, he's gonna call us haters. Then someone else was like, the problem is that when we speak, he's gonna release a diss track, those types of things. But, people can make side jokes, but still establish that, they voted for the person that they voted for. So, I'm someone who can take jokes, but at the same time, I'm aware that, there is a hard job ahead of me. And, council, I know that 16 of us will really back each other. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
What is your leadership philosophy, style, and approach, and where do you derive it from?
Well, my leadership approach is derived from, when I was deputy head boy at Birchley High. We just believed in teamwork and we believed in being transparent and open and also being clear of the visions that we have, the plans that we set, from the word go. Because I remember when I was chosen as deputy head boy, so like in 2015 for 2016, we had a meeting in the principal's office stating that, okay, in January, having this, February, March, all the way up till December, and all those plans carried out. So it is important to have plans and discussions as, the SRC and ensure that we fill in the gaps. Even right now, the students, who complain or who are, I think someone referred to them as keyboard warriors the inauguration. Yes. It is important that they move away from that, because as a student parliament speaker, I'm someone who works with the SRC, with the current SRC, and there are reports that are handed out. So students need to familiarize themselves. There was an email from Student News saying that, guys, here are the SRC reports and the reports from the different substructures. Have a look at them. So people need to engage and see, okay, this is where the SRC is going. This is what we are missing. This is what we're doing right. This is what we're doing wrong. So that way there's some level of interaction. So my leadership philosophy is just based on, trying to tick all the boxes. We are not perfectionists. We are human. We have valid emotions, just like you, And one thing that students need to recognize is that we are also students, just like you. And before we are students, we are humans, So we are humans with, trying to get holistic wellness in check. We are students trying to complete my degrees. Next year, I'm doing my 3rd degree. You get what I'm saying? So that's going to be something else. And then now I'm leading as president. So, I need to make sure that council plays a role, but I also have to play be a team player and ensure that I do my job as president as well. So everybody has to come to the party.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Brilliant. Yeah. We have heard some unrealistic stuff. What policies do you have and how realistic are they?
All right. Well, I really won't go too much into that. But, what I would say to the student body is that they just need to look at the reports that are out. There was this email sent by student parliament. They need to look at the different reports that are there, financial reports, faculty rep reports, etc. And in my manifesto and in my speech and in my Grazzle, I preached feasibility, practicality, and realism. So that what I am about, and at the same time understand that I'm a realist. I'm someone who's positive about things that will happen, positive about change, but I'm not someone who will sell you unrealistic stuff, because even if you are giving it your all and doing your best, the student body will still talk, good or bad, they will still talk. So, I'm someone who just preached reality, so I'm going to be remembered for that, whether people speak good or bad about me. You get what I'm saying? So that's just what it is. We're not selling anyone dreams. We are at a university. We are not just students. We are building world changes. You're not here to study and pass. You're not here to just graduate. You are here to go out there in the world, start your own business or be employed and learn from people around you, learn from your families, learn from your support structures that you are better. You can be better than what you are right now. Even as a graduate, I feel like there's a lot that I need to do. Someone who's soon to be a 2-time graduate, I feel like there's a lot that still needs to be done on my side, in my personal capacity and in leadership as well. You get what I'm saying? I find that there are things that I'm not happy about myself, but they'll be like, yo, Bothlale, you've had so many leadership positions at Rhodes. You do music, academically, you're thriving, we want to be like you. At the time, I still feel like there are a lot of things missing. That I want to achieve. There's so much I want to do, but as a person, there's only one thing that you can do at a time. Even when you multitask, not everything will be of best quality. You get what I'm saying? So, as a person, don't be too hard on yourself. Remain true to your efforts. But if you're going to do something, or if you're going to type something on social media, whether it involves SRC or not, but whether you're going to type something or say something or be a keyboard warrior in that context, what are you doing to ensure that you make a difference and not just do something for the sake of calling them out in a negative light?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you content with the way things are? And if you are, then you can just say yes. If you're not, tell us 2 things that you're not content with, especially around this university space.
Well, I would just like to say that, student body, I'm here for you. The current SRC is here for you. I'm part of the incoming SRC. That's next year. I'm here for you. So we can have conversations. You can email me. I'm on the socials, but it's all about having to have that formal platform of communication, because now we are representing an institution. The Rhodes SRC is an institution. Rhodes University is an institution. So we please need to do things professionally. I'm speaking to you as an adult. You get what I'm saying? So it is important that we approach matters like adults. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wow, thank you so much. Yeah. We are, I'm about to get to probably the deep and personal stuff.
All right.
No problem. And, in the beginning, you talked about funding, and that's a problem that a lot of students at Rhodes face. And during almost almost every academic year, there's always probably a clash between university management and students, you know, the fees office and students, a department and students, because of some form of funding issue or some form of privilege, you know. So the question is, in solving these problems, where is the line drawn? You know, how far will you go to stand up for a mutual benefit for both sides in conflict?
All right. Well, that has to do with how your approach is. So I've said it before: feasibility, practicality, and realism. Even when I mention the word funding, those three words follow, because we need to look at that. We need to look at what we can do, but we also need to be mindful of the fact that we are still in a pandemic. We don't know what Rhodes is going through. We need to have realistic conversations, because I did say that, yes, we need to look at funding, but is that approach feasible, practical, and real? You know, those are the questions that we need to pose as leaders, you know. So it is important that we be mindful of those things and understand if there are avenues that can be taken, routes that can be taken for students to register, you know. So that's my chat. Not to say that anything is happening, you know, because I'm not saying anything right now. I'm just telling you that we need to think about those things. I'm not talking about any funding platform, whatever. There's not anything that I'm telling you. So I'm saying this as Bothlale, hore, we need to have those conversations. What is missing? What can we talk about based on the information that we have? That's my question to you. Yeah.
No, thank you so much for that. You know, as emerging champions, we're actually trying to organize a meeting with the postgrad funding office or the bursary office, just, you know, as they are contributing in the lives of young people, you know, they are contributing, whether it's negative or positive, but they're instrumental institution in terms of funding our lives and our education. You know, beginning of the year, there were protests. You know, do you believe in protests as a means of action? And would you lead a protest?
I'm gonna speak to you as a politics graduate, not as an incoming member of SRC. As a politics graduate, I would protest, but we protest in the light of what the Constitution says. We need to understand what the mandate is. We need to be realistic in our approach. What will the protest achieve? What are you hoping to achieve? You know, you need to constantly ask yourself questions as you do things, you know, but in terms of having to lead a protest as a incoming SRC president, it is a conversation that can be had, but also where's that conversation going? You know, that's the question. I'm not gonna throw any answers, you know, because certain things are done in certain ways. And obviously with this year's protest, that happened, you know, I don't feel that the mandate was properly achieved, you know, because we need to be cognizant of the struggles that students face. So it is all about the conversations that we have, what's currently happening, what's realistic. Let's not impose unrealistic things on the student leaders. Student leaders are students just like you. Please be there to support them, because because we really need your help as student leaders, and we need to really come together and understand what the matter at hand is. So that's just me commenting as a student of Rhodes. Full stop.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, you know, in an institution, especially a formal institution, in educational institutions, we have to follow some form of protocol. You know, the same way when we're electing you as our president, we followed some form of protocol. So I believe, you know, if ever you're given such a task, or if you're faced with such a task, I think, you know, you should look at some forms of protocol. And, you know, I agree with what you're saying. You know, there has to be some form of protocol, and you can take a decision from there. You know, you've been training with the SRC for the past couple of days. You know, I believe it's been hectic. You know, what have you learned so far in this SRC training?
Well, we've learned that we really need to be there for each other. First things first. You know, this is 16 people representing 8,000 people. So we really need to be there. we need to, what we learned is that we need to be there for each other in a holistic context, you know, understanding that, you know, we have mental health, physical health, emotional health, etc. And, you know, understanding like what our roles are as the different portfolios, and understanding that we are all SRC members. As president, I'm someone who contributes. I'm not the king or the chief. I'm a leader who's leading amongst leaders. I'm just in an executive position, you know, so I'm spearheading the vision of the Student Representative Council in that context. You know, that's what it means, you know, so I'm just there. I'm the spokesperson of, you know, but I'm also there to play my part, you know, be the team player. So we need to be the team players as the SRC. This SRC, the 2021 SRC, are team players. You saw that in the protest, they were team players. So we need to maintain that. That's just the whole overview of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, emerging champions at Rhodes University, where leaders learn. You know, so regarding SRC and the SRC training that you've just had, what do you know now that you didn't know before?
Yeah. You know, in terms of, I'm just going to put it like in simple words. There's your manifesto, there's you getting the position. Big difference, because now what you're running for, especially in terms of the manifesto, you're like, no, I'm going to achieve this and this and this and this. Remember, you're not chasing people's approval. You're not, because like I said, good or bad, someone's going to talk, you know. SRC is going to require all you have. That's one thing that I've learned. Like, you're not just going to do ABC, then take a break, ABC, then take a break. So, you know, you are within, there's that realization. The minute that you're sitting there with your fellow counselors, you're like, oh, okay, I'm starting to feel that heat now, that this is what's expected of me, you know? So there's even like information from the previous counselors of, okay, you know, this is what you need to do and whatnot. So it's a big step up, you know. There's your manifesto, what you want to achieve in your manifesto, and then now trying to see if your manifesto still links with what you really need to do. Because people, the SRC from before are the ones, the SRC alumni are telling you, yo, this is what needs to be done. You get what I'm saying? So that's just a big difference. And, you know, we really need to be up for the task. You know, I'm not alone as incoming president. I have a whole council that needs my support, and I need their support too. We help each other out. That's what it is. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. You know, in your previous answer, you mentioned, you know, the SRC support, you know, you guys having to be there for one another.
True.
You know, and you mentioned things about mental health and, you know, how was your mental health, you know, and physical health, especially during the process and stress when you're campaigning, Brazo, giving speeches, writing speeches. How was your mental? And you have to, you know, you're doing economics honors.
Yeah.
You know, you're tutoring at the same time. You have all those things. You know, how was your mental health? You know, how were you able to manage all that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, yeah, you know, being a tutor, being an academic, and now running for SRC, it was a really hectic task. You know, I actually worked ahead to make sure that my campaign was a success. I actually worked ahead, submitted on time. So, you know, academic commitments out of the way. Tutoring, I engaged with my titlings accordingly, out of the way. But then now what was left was the campaign, you know, which was really stressful because like, people are also competing with me. I need to make sure that, you know, in my heart, I was like, I'm in that SRC. After the presidential debates, and I really felt that the presidential debate was something that really had my nerves, man. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, oh my gosh, it's my turn now. Let me do this thing. And I did it. Then afterwards, I'm like, okay, now let's just keep on campaigning. The campaign team just needs to bond now more than ever. You know, like people would leave the WhatsApp group, but then they would explain why, like, I'm tired because of, you know, academic commitments, which is fine. At least you're telling me why you're leaving the group and you are still supporting me as, you know, as a friend. So yeah, it was a really testing time. Even when I was there waiting for the results, I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. Like President Bothlale. And I just left Eden Grove and then came back. I was in tears briefly. Then when I saw the live camera, I was just like, okay, now I'm back now. You know, like I have the ability to control my tears. I don't know how that is. But yeah, you know, I was just there, you know, in the moment.
You know, and do you think us as students, do we expect too much from the SRC? Because acknowledging that you guys are still students, do you think the student body expect too much from the SRC?
To some extent, I think it's a bit of both. There are some who are like, okay, guys, this is what you can do. And then there are those students who expect, overboard stuff that full well they can't achieve. I also think it has to do with, looking at our SRC and then maybe looking at SRCs from different institutions. You need to be mindful of the fact that Rhodes is a small population. What is it that's being done here that's not being done in those other institutions, and vice versa, so it's understanding the Rhodes picture. Do they understand the Rhodes picture? I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I think that's a chat that one can have.
Okay. So next year you'll be doing your economics masters. You have to write a proposal. I don't know if you're doing coursework, but maybe if you're not, you have to write a thesis. How are you going to manage, this task ahead of you? This economics master's degree and, being, at the top of the Rhodes SRC and being the face of the Rhodes University student body?
That's a good question. And, I'm someone who's in love with education. So, I'm not just limited to studying economics masters. I can even do an LLB. It'll just take longer to complete. But anyways, I can study almost anything if I want to. If the opportunity allows. And, I'm still keen on, doing economics masters afterwards. So it's not really a train smash. But yeah, you raise a good point when you say that, this work, let's look at the economics masters example specifically. I'm looking at, doing research mainly. I'm not really going to be a fan of coursework. I'm hoping to do something research based. And in addition to that, there's research. I might be a tutor again next year. And now, have to serve the student body. I just think that it's going to be very strict time management that will be in place. And, having a shoulder to cry on, I would say, your emotions are very much valid, knowing who to speak to, when to speak to them, speaking to family as often as possible, because they understand that, being an SRC president is a big feature. I was even off the phone with the deputy principal of Botlhale High, and the deputy principal was over the moon, he was over the moon. So, people are really celebrating me that side, but I'm also aware that there's a Rhodes student body who is eyeing the SRC. Literally anything can happen and they can blame the SRC, even if the SRC is not directly involved. So, a lot will be expected. It's going to be a tough task. It's an easy one, but it's not impossible. Yeah.
You're becoming, you're an emerging leader, you're an emerging champion. And, I'm glad that the deputy principal at Botlhale High is over the moon, because the thing is, the students at Botlhale High now have someone they can look up to and say, this guy, he was at Botlhale High, he's president of the SRC at Rhodes. So, you're now a role model. And, I think something that's impressive is, I've known you since 2017.
Yeah.
And how you've managed to stay so humble, doing all those things is something that, is an inspiration to me, but can be an inspiration to young adults who are growing up, and will definitely be an inspiration to the Rhodes University student body. But, what's in there for you? The SRC post, what's in there for you? I don't, what's your honest take? What's in there for you? I don't think you're just, doing it for humanitarian aid. What's in there for you?
Well, I would say it's a game of leadership experience, because when you are in SRC, you attend meetings. And, you need to speak formally and be cognizant of the struggles around you. So I would say that leadership experience, it's bigger than it being on a CV. With or without SRC, my leadership experience is impeccable. So the whole point of me being in SRC next year is just, really learning from others. I'm someone who falls in love with learning, whether it's academics, education. Let's not confuse education and degree. You can graduate and still know nothing. So it's just that thing of, really getting that experience. It's just, I have experience with music. I have experience with academics, education, being in a home of a family. A home is an institution because you have specific values, respect, charity, honesty, those things. It's an institution where you learn from your parents, your family. So, you know, I feel like being in SRC, it's an institution of its own. So I'm looking to enhance my leadership experience from a different angle.
Ladies and gentlemen, an emerging leader. Listen, it's a game of leadership. You know, lastly, my president.
Thank you.
You know, the floor is yours. You have been given 30 seconds. So this is your conclusion.
All right.
Yeah, before we wrap up, you've been given 30 seconds to give out a message to the student body.
All right.
Say something, answer a question you think needs to be answered, but feel free.
All right. 30 seconds. I might go for 15 to 20, but let's go. There's a saying by Mahatma Gandhi. He says, peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to cope with it. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. We'll be glad to have our incoming president next year and check up with them. Thank you. Cheers. Okay, that's it from us. Please like, subscribe, and share.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.